Good evening. Thank you for everyone for attending. We're going to officially call the Cleveland Community Police Commission meeting to order at 6:03 p.m. at the Perkins location at 3631. We're going to conduct our roll call. Commissioner Adams,
Present.
Commissioner Benito,
Present.
Commissioner Shura,
Present.
Commissioner Donaldson,
Present.
Commissioner Early, Commissioner Garrett Ferguson, Commi- Commissioner Kennedy,
Present.
Commissioner Reeves,
Present.
Co-Chair Ridgway,
Present.
Commissioner Van Leer,
Present.
Co-Chair Rodriguez present, Commissioner Wong, Commissioner Zayed.
Present.
The number of commissioners needed to conduct business has been met. The next item of business is the adoption of agenda. We do have a few items that are asking to be added. One is a motion for the co-chairs. Basically, it's the end of our term and just to receive compensation. So that's one motion that's going to be brought forth, as well as two from Commissioner Wong. One is about opening the hiring process, as well as one pertaining to, I believe, the GPOs. And then one additional item will just ensure that we adopt 1.4.4, which is about the leadership, because technically it's not in effect, but we want to ensure that we adopt these rules. Well, because it has to be technically within the minutes and then 15 days in the official minutes. So it's not officially adopted, if that makes sense. Yeah.
And to the commission, what we will do is just to review briefly the process for the elections when we get to that part of the agenda.
Oh, Commissioner Van
If I
Leer?
may, Chair, I would like to make a motion to, since we have so much on the agenda tonight, to limit participation, like member comments. Currently, under Robert's rules, each member can speak twice on each motion for 10 minutes each time. I would like to propose, make a motion that we limit that for tonight, and Robert's rules allows us to do this. I can cite the chapter, if you like. It's 4316. To one comment for each member on each motion, limit of 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor with a second. Is there any question or debate? Okay. Any further question or debate? Hence none, we're going to move for a vote. Commissioner Adams?
Aye.
Commissioner Benito?
Aye.
Commissioner Shura?
Nay.
Commissioner Donaldson?
Aye.
Commissioner Early?
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson?
Nay.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves?
Aye.
Co-Chair Ridgway?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer?
Aye.
Co-Chair Rodriguez? Aye. We'll come back. Commissioner Zayed?
Nay.
So basically, the motion on the floor was to, according to Robert rules, it is a number of times we could speak. 2 times for up to 10 minutes. We would like to limit the discussion to 1 time for 5 minutes to ensure that we're able to get through our business item agendas.
Per motion. 1 time.
Yeah, per motion. So at this time, you can wish to vote in favor, in opposition, or abstain.
Could you repeat that again, please?
So the motion on the floor is to, according to Robert Rules of Order, we allow, each commissioner has the opportunity to speak 2 times for up to 10 minutes. Due to our agenda and the number of items, as well as the motions, we're looking to limit that to 1 time for 5 minutes.
So I think it would depend on the topic, so I'm going to say no.
Okay, thank
We
you.
should fulfill Robert's rules.
Thank you so much. So we have 4 commissioners in opposition, and the rest are in support of it, so the motion carries.
Um, Can I make a motion to change the agenda?
What would you like to add to the agenda?
I hope my other things are, I would like to change the agenda. I move to, since there are motions asking for my removal as, from the commission and also as chair, I think those are relatively important motions. And I would like to hear who, Commissioner Van Leer and Commissioner Benito, what they say about me in these respects, especially because I will be voting for co-chair. So I think those are important motions. So I'd like to move them to the top of the agenda and give it due time, because we have a lot of things on the agenda. So this is unprecedented motion, so I would like to move it to the top of the agenda. And for the first motion to be considered, to be the motion to remove me from my chairships, and the second motion to be the motion to remove from the commission, if that is okay with everybody.
It is, I think that is a very important topic. I think it's very imperative that any police work, I think that should receive precedence. It is my hope as a commission that we allow this business to go forward. And it is our hope that this time limit will help us to move swiftly.
Well, do I have a second on my motion, please?
Okay. The question is on the adoption to move business item pertaining to the removal of a commissioner as well as the committee chair, and the recommendation of removal of the commission to the beginning of the agenda. Is there any question or debate at this time? Commissioner Adams?
I would just like to say that my concern with the motion is that we won't get to the stuff we need to get to. That is the business of the commission. So, that is my concern with the motion.
Any other question or debate, Commissioner Reeves?
My only concern is that with the first motion we passed about limiting comments to 1 and 5 minutes, it might not give this its due time to go forward with these motions. Because I know Commissioner Wong is going to want to speak longer than that in her defense.
To the commission, one of the things we can do is, on the discussion of those 2 motions, after everyone has spoken, rather than Commissioner Wong responding to each of the charges or comments or alleged charges that are brought up, that you will have the opportunity to listen to everything, and then her remarks come at the end. And that way, it won't prolong the meeting, and it will allow us to get through the agenda. That's just a suggestion.
I do want to say, this definitely seems like a very packed agenda. So I wonder why, I only received these motions on Friday after asking about the complaints for many weeks. I still don't think they're terribly specific. My concern is that I don't know why they're even on this today's agenda, and I'm thinking it's because there is, just so the audience knows, there's a pending draft rule to make sure that the committees get to vote in or out their chairs. And that seems to be something that is being circumvented right now. I know that we're at our home offices. When do we have this location until? Do we have to leave at 8:30?
Ideally, we would like to ensure our meeting is efficient and that we are able to respect everybody's times, as well as our community members, as well as staff, because we know that that they're compensated, as well as each commissioner that has put in a number of hours and time. It is my hope that we continue to move forward with this agenda.
Just a suggestion, would it be helpful if we move those two agenda items that deals with Commissioner Wang up, right after the committee status reports, like right before the election. Would that be a fair compromise so that we would get through the business and then right before the elections, give
It's
that
the pleasure
time?
of the commission.
So I don't know if that's like I was just a suggestion.
You're offering a friendly amendment.
Yeah, I'm sorry, just a friendly amendment, and I thought we were still on discussion, so.
Yeah, no,
But,
it's okay.
so I was just, if that was, I don't know how people feel about that, but to kind of balance out moving that up, but also get through commission business, can it happen right before the election of co-chairs?
I would second the friendly amendment.
And thank you for that. And I do find it a little bit strange that we're assessing the motions for my removals not as business, or that these business take precedent. So I just want to note that I think this is unprecedented. I did not receive proper notice. So I think this is probably the most important business. I am glad that it is occurring before the election of the co-chairs, because it would, but I do find it's a little strange that I'm being asked to vote on motions and GPOs that later you could try to remove my voting power for. So I do want to note that irony.
Okay, thank you. So the question is on the adoption of moving the items under new business for the committee chair as well as the remover of the commissioners after the committee status reports. Any further question or debate? Hence none, we can take a vote. Commissioner Adams.
Aye.
Commissioner Benito.
Aye.
Commissioner Shura.
Aye.
Commissioner Donaldson.
Aye.
Commissioner Early. Commissioner Gary Ferguson.
Aye.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves.
Aye.
Co-chair Ridgway.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer.
Aye.
Co-chair Rodriguez. Aye. Commissioner Wong.
Aye.
Commissioner Zayed.
Aye.
Motion passed with unanimous consent. The item has been moved. Any other additions to the agenda at this time? Thank you so much. It seems like we can move forward.
I do have a question. Did my two motions end up on the agenda?
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah, before you came in, Commissioner, we mentioned them, and we're putting them, we approved for those two motions to come in. So the two motions that were asked to be introduced tonight, we didn't get the written language for. One is, and I think that my co-chair mentioned those. One was to reopen the hiring process for the executive director, and the second one was a motion to rescind and replace a motion, a GPO motion that was approved at the last meeting.
Yes, and I apologize. I have a lot on my mind, but I did author those motions. They are in your email, and I sent them. So and they should be pretty simple motions. So I apologize for the delay.
Okay.
Did you state where you were placing those motions?
They'll be under old business. Okay.
I only received one motion for tonight.
It is in
An
one.
email.
It's in the same document. The motion to
Oh, okay.
rescind. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So I believe that we can move forward with the next item of business, which is meeting decorum. Basically, if you see on the back side of the agenda, this is just guidelines for public comment. We encourage everyone to speak up and step to the mic. And we would love to hear your ideas. And just in general, please refrain from side conversation so that we can hear everyone's perspective. Public comment occurs approximately for 30 minutes during the CPC meeting. If anything arises, please feel free to contact our staff if any concerns should arise during the meeting. And if time permits, we may be able to open it. Any further questions or concern can be emailed to clecpc@clevelandohio.gov. As well as for commissioners, please refrain from any side conversations. Please ensure that you are called by the chair. And as you know that we are trying to follow the rule of one time for 5 minutes that was adopted by the commission for each motion. The next item of business, approval of minutes. Are there any at this time?
point of clarification, do you know what date they were? I know they went through a few changes. I just want to, when did Ryan send them out?
So did you send submissions?
I sent some corrections, and I just want to make sure they are,
Your corrections were incorporated.
were
on that
incorporated?
second
Okay,
set.
thank you.
What's the date? I'm sorry.
Those were the minutes from December 19th, I think.
And to the chair's just a point, if you do want to amend the minutes, at some point, the proper way to do so after a draft is submitted is at the table. So, you know, if it comes to a point where staff have sent the minutes and they are the draft, it becomes the duty of the commission through motions to change those minutes or amend those minutes at the table until they are clear that that's the minutes they want and adopt the minutes.
Yeah, my co-chair, I think the exception with these particular minutes, the minutes were initially done as a draft. They were stated that they were, it was a draft set of minutes in order to be able to move forward with the outside attorney. And legal needed to see how those votes were taken. So when Ryan prepared that first set of minutes, they were prepared as a draft. And so he had to go back and incorporate the rest of the minutes within that first draft. And he did send another set out. I saw your comments, Commissioner Wong, and I think I added some as well.
Okay, so I'm assuming that we could proceed forward with the minutes for December 19th, 2024 has been sent out for review. Any correction or additions of the minutes at this time?
I'm trying to, you did say that my corrections are included? I don't see them.
In the second set that he did, not the first set, that was the
This is the
draft
second.
set.
This is the second set. Tuesday.
So,
Your mic a little bit, I'll give you some text that you're hard.
Okay, so no, sorry, that's not the second set.
It's the second set you're looking at.
It's from 111. Let's see.
okay, so any question or debate? Because we're on a time, so I'm gonna move it forward, and it's gonna be dependent on the vote. Any further question or debate at this time?
I don't see the changes that I wanted, that I asked Mr. Walker to put in. This is, I'm reading the minutes that he sent on January 11th. And my general, you know, I'm not trying to hold anything up, but it's generally that I don't think the minutes have enough information for people to understand the diversity of opinion and the specificity of things that's being said. And to have our community members have to watch a 2.5-hour meeting, I think is not the best use of their times. So
Thank you.
I see things that are missing.
That is noted. So I'm gonna proceed with the vote because the vote will determine how we proceed or if there's any other question or debate at this time.
I'd just like to make one comment, and that is that it was in Rules Committee that a template was approved for the minutes, that we would, it would eliminate all the narrative as to who said what when. And so a template was developed to reduce all of that narrative and to move into the gist of whatever the discussion and the actions were. That's how these last minutes were prepared. So that specificity that you're referring to, that would have been eliminated by the use of the template that was approved in Rules and in the Rules Committee.
So respectfully, I don't see that the specificity has been removed. The thing that I'm asking for is that I made a note that in the Brady Giglio records request that unfortunately Executive Director Goodrick had altered one of my records requests, and that was not noted in the, I think that's very important. You know, he and I can have more discussion. I've asked him repeatedly 3 times why he altered my discipline request, and it is, I think, impacted and delayed that records request. So I wanted that to be noted in the minutes because I said that in the discussion. It's not noted. I think we can remember that you had wanted not to show the emails at that point. But I think salient points like that has to do with the business of the commission and in how we do how processes are developed should be in there. I do see specificity. I see even quotations from commissioners, so I'm not understanding why
That
what I
particular-
said was not included. And I've asked Mr. Walker to include that, it's still not included. So that's unfortunate.
We move to accept them or reject.
Okay, so, yeah, so, we have, a few options to continue the vote, to adopt it with flexibility, and then maybe that item can be added. If it's only that particular item, it is the commission's pleasure. The question is on the adoption of the minutes for December 19th, 2024. So I'm not sure if there is a friendly amendment to include that particular statement that Commissioner Wong is looking to have reflected in the minutes.
I would like to make that friendly amendment. I want to say that this is a serious issue because these minutes are supposed to reflect our meetings, so this would be altering a public record if that is not included. And I've had community members complain and even one threaten a lawsuit based on that, so I think we should be more careful about the accuracy of the minutes. Thank
Is
you.
there a second to that friendly amendment?
Second.
Okay. Any question or debate about that friendly amendment?
I think it's probably a good idea. I mean, they can follow the template, but if any commissioner has something specific they want in there, then let's add it in there.
That sounds like a plan. It sounds like we had the question and debate. Let's call for the vote. Commissioner Adams?
Aye.
Commissioner Benito?
Aye.
Commissioner Shure?
Aye.
Commissioner Donaldson?
Aye.
Commissioner Early? Commissioner Garrett Ferguson? Aye. Commissioner Kennedy?
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves?
Aye.
Co-Chair Ridgway?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer?
Aye.
Co-Chair Rodriguez? Aye. Commissioner Wong?
Aye.
Commissioner Zayed?
Aye.
Motion adopted. The minutes will be adopted with flexibility to include that item that Commissioner Wong,
I'm sorry, I thought I was amending it.
well,
That was
amended
all-
it, so
okay,
it's gonna be,
included, okay.
well, yeah. So it's gonna
Thank
be adopted with flexibility until your item is added.
Thank you so much.
The next item of business is public comment.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. How are you guys doing? Happy New Year to you. Thank you. The last time I was here, I had some issues. Our organization, which is Spread the Love Foundation, was waiting our contract agreement for the grant that we were awarded back in October, November. And after that meeting, we were able to get it. Executive Director Jason Goodman, yeah, he was able to get that document from the law department. And I brought a copy of that agreement today. And I want to just say that we were also awarded the City of Cleveland's Neighborhood Safety Fund, which has the same objective as the CCPC grant that we received, which is basically criminal justice reform. Okay, so the same thing, same effort, same mission, all of that. The NSF grant was administered by the Cleveland Foundation. The terms, the agreement, the everything. One email, which is one page that has everything clearly spelled out. The terms and agreement of that contract is 2 pages. It talks about reporting at the end of the period, which is said in the application when we applied. It's all well and good. Funds have been deposited via ACH instead of paper check. All of that, we're all good. The agreement that we received from the City of Cleveland, and this was the issue that you guys had at the table last time, talking about as far as the conflict of interest with the City of Cleveland Law Department, Housing, or being responsible for the attorney for this committee. As a past employee for the City of Cleveland of over 20 years, and my job and my role with the City of Cleveland was to streamline processes and all of that. So I was a member of the team that did the turnaround for Cleveland Water with their billing crisis, all of these things. So I know city processes. I know how procurement works. I know all of that. Case in point of why you guys should not be dependent on them for anything. And when I say anything, your budget should be allocated in some type of escrow or something like that. They should not be controlling y'all purse strings. They should not be controlling anything that has to come out of this commission, because you guys are charged with kicking them in their ass. Thank you. Okay? And that's why that is a clear conflict of interest. The $400,000 that you guys just gave back at the end of 2023 could be used for legal fees, because when you don't, this is what we get. I got a 26-page contract that explains, number one, the address is wrong. The information that we gave about our program is wrong. They asking us to do a 2 6-month cohorts, which that is not what we even said in our proposal. They are asking for expenditures. When we receive money, it had to be spent in 3 days. Whenever we have a change, it had to be reported within 24 hours. So just egregious terms and conditions laid out in this contract, and this is a prime example why you guys cannot depend on the city of Cleveland for nothing other than to approve y'all budget, put it in escrow, and keep it moving. Get your own attorney, and at the end of the day, you guys are charged with administering $1 million in grants, or making sure that you give out $1 million in grant. That does not mean y'all have to administrate the program or administrate the funds. So at this time, Director Goodman, he sent me an email. Jason sent me an email, and we've been going back and forth about this since November, December, even just trying to get this. And then when I get it, it's egregious. It's erroneous. It's a whole lot. And I asked him in my last email, did you even read this before you sent it to me? Then they want us to report every 90 days, send the receipts, send the report, and the application that we even submitted to apply for the grant, it says reporting will be done at the 6-month mark. So to even begin to assume that, number one, every 90 days that I have to sit down as an employee, is one of me, and I have another part-time person, puts additional hardship. Number one, we had to file something that said it was an additional hardship just because it never said in the application that this was a reimbursable grant. So I'm like, all of this from the beginning to the end, and it is the executive director's position and responsibility to ensure that the things coming out of this office is accurate. So in my experience with working on the other side of the city, shit like this happens, and excuse my French, but stuff like this often happens for one or two reasons. Number one is either incompetency, or undermining. And I can tell you all about how they undermine what you guys are trying to do. I done seen it at the highest level for the last 3 administrations. Now, so my organization is here to support the work that you guys are doing. At the end of the day, with my experience from the 3 administrations I've been through, I have never seen a mayor that has said, we don't want to better the police department. What they do want to do is minimize the risk to the city of Cleveland and the taxpayers. And so that process and what y'all doing does not have to be adversary. It is not that the mayor's office or anybody does not want to work with you guys, but it has to be led by competent professionals that understand how to work and how to move and how to get things done. Unless you have historical knowledge and understand the underworkings of the city, all of y'all gonna be undermined. This is a clear undermining of my organization right here, and I'm gonna make a point that when we were at the training, what was said to me was, oh, I know you, OC, you a rock star. First of all, how you know anything about me? I don't know you, we're not friends. My other question was, who else received this contract? Because I have a hard time believing that anybody else would agree to have money spent in 3 days or some of the other reporting practices that they asking us to do. So now, at the end of the day, what I'm asking is to leave both of these documents with you guys. And what we would like to request from Spread the Love Foundation is for the grant that we received from the CCPC reflect and mirror the same terms and conditions as the NSF fund, because it only makes sense. And that was my job, is to identify things like this and make sure that we align and streamline processes. So thank you. I'm sorry. Have a good evening, and I'll bring it down 10 notches. Thank you, guys. And I want to just say, y'all doing a phenomenal job. So all of this that y'all doing is going to cause some friction and some headbutting, but go through the process because it's very, very needed in these neighborhoods. It's needed. Our role at the Juvenile Detention Center of the 2021 report that I just reviewed, the annual report of 523 students, and I spoke about this at y'all annual meeting. Of the 523 students that was in there, 457 of them going through there is black. The top 3 neighborhoods that them kids are coming from is Glenville, Huff, and Central. So with our efforts, with y'all efforts, we have to do more to target those areas and save our kids because they are in crisis. And what it also shows is that for whatever reason, the black kids are not getting to take advantage of the diversion programs that are being funded. But obviously, out of 16 white kids who went through that system in 2021, only 16 of 523 were white. Something is wrong with that picture. Thank you. Good night.
Okay, good evening. I'm Ms. Bickerstaff, as you know. I looked at the meeting today with the public safety. Delonte Spencer Thomas is here. I'm going to say it again. There's 5 commissioners that I announced December 13th that need to be removed. Alana Garrett, Terry Wayne, Ms. Ridgway, Kay Kennedy, and John Anderson. John Anderson, when you were sworn in, Mr. Joe Jones said to you, and he said to everybody, this is going to be a lot of work. You have to spend time to do this work. You agreed to do this work. But today you complain it's a lot of work. Then you need to go. They put a motion in for Terry Wong to be removed, but what have they done with Alana Garrison? Nothing. And we, Citizens for Safer Cleveland, requested for her to be removed. And none of y'all did nothing. But then you write one for her. Now, this is something that I've shared to Mrs. Thomas today, before we came here today. I want you guys to go. You are not good for the police or the citizens of this city. You are stagnant with this commission. You're causing too many problems. So you're sitting up there looking at me, and you know I'm telling you the truth. Ms. Ridgway, you rocking with the city. I found out today 2 commissioners had a private meeting with Plenzik. A private meeting. Why did we know about it? We're the public. What was the meeting about? But what was told, what was stated, the names, they don't want their names to be given. You need to go. You're causing a problem. My brother be dead 22 years on Friday. The hell with you. You are making a mockery out of our families. And I'm not going to let you do it. This is not about money. This is about lives. Lives that you are responsible to save. You're responsible for that. And you sit here, you're looking at me like I'm crazy. You're crazy because you're not doing your job. And you 5 need to be removed. And you know you need to be removed. We've tried to talk to you over and over and over again about different stuff and give you suggestions. You're flicking a bird at us. You know you are. Terry, I sent you a cease and desist, and you still tried to talk to me. Yes, you did. Do you know what cease and desist means? That means don't talk to me, period. got to say. Have a good night.
No, we can't respond.
Hey, I'm kind of new to Cleveland. I've only been here for about 7 years. I live in Glenville, and I chatted with a few of my neighbors today because I know I was going to be attending. And I talked to my 82-year-old neighbor across the street. Oh my God, she makes like the best soup. You gotta get it. They just look out for me. And what I find is that Glenville is just like so lovely. Like people really look out for each other. And I think what I found with her, this is her suggestion. I talked to my 78-year-old neighbor as well, and my 55-year-old neighbor, and they all had the same suggestion. They would like more representation. So that means like maybe creating more outreach to be able to get folks that could look out for each other of the community. I've had a great opportunity of being able to meet several of you, and I know that you're respectful. That's what I found out. I have one other brief comment. I know that these sort of spaces can be kind of contentious, especially when people are pointed. Some folks, this is what I've found in meetings. I've been attending meetings, and I hope that you all know that I do try to show up, and I've attended several. And I find that some people are more diligent than others. Some people are more prepared. And as much as I know, just for divulgence, I know Terry from a mutual friend. We're new acquaintances. But I do feel that having somebody that is diligent is going to be in your best efforts. Because what she's going to do is make you all look good. That's what diligence does. And I know that other people might not have that same kind of belief. But I'm saying it from the sincerest spot. I don't like how she sounds sometimes. I really don't. She hurts. She hurts when she talks because what she says is honest. And I think sometimes what's most needed when it's not about this room, it's about folks that are going to have to suffer the consequences of what happens in this room. And so we need folks that are going to look out. And that's a hard one to listen to. I don't like listening to it, but I just want to make sure you all know that when I've been in the rooms, I recognize who is prepared and who is not. And I just think that it's nice to have someone like that on your side. Thanks.
Hi. I'm Chris Martin. I'm a resident of Ohio City. I'm going to talk about the two motions about removal. Procedure stuff is, I don't know, kind of important to me. So I only just really got a chance to look at these recently, but looking over them, these seem real vague, right? I don't really see anything specific listed. And I'm just kind of wondering, these whereas clauses, are they supposed to have any sort of legal weight? Or I know I haven't been paying that much attention to the commission, I've got to admit, but y'all are pretty new to all of this. It seems like you're figuring out how to take your minutes now, and you're trying to I don't know, what do the whereas clauses have any legal weight? Are they supposed to mean anything? Otherwise, like you could just say blah 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 blah. You're removed, right? And then it just takes a majority vote of any of you. This is the precedent you're establishing, it seems, tonight. So in any case, I think it's funny that one of the whereas clauses lists impugning the motives and character. This is funny to me. I'm a resident of Cleveland, as I established, and I'm an active member of the community, I like to think. I'm currently involved in a lawsuit against Cleveland City Council for being silenced unconstitutionally during the public comment portion of one of their meetings because in the opinion of Council President Griffin, I was impugning the character of fellow council members. So it's just funny to me, since that's actually an because that is actually an unconstitutional reason to silence me, I find it funny to see it here as a reason to remove a commission member. And then I noticed it seems to only be in the removal of as committee chair one, but it's really also funny to me that you guys are gonna rely on Robert's rules for your process footing. Like, come on now. You want to remove some folks? Establish a procedure to do it. How well do any of you know Robert's rules? Did you flip through the book to find where you could do this? That's what you're going to rely on? I don't know, it just seems all in all like a really bad process that you're about to set as a precedent. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Well, you guys have been here for now over a year. The strange thing is that you guys do have a consistency. You have a consistency doing the same thing you did, and community members have been repeatedly reminding you not to do. All right? Now, I still remember vividly back in June, we had a very big meeting with all the fireworks or even, gunpowder, whatever you want to call it. In that incident, community members sitting here actually being charged by a commissioner. Anything happen? Nobody really want to talk about it. So nothing happened. So July, we had to get a makeup meeting. Constantly, you guys will do things to go against your own rules. Don't even worry about that Roberts we don't know about. Okay? That Roberts make lots of rules, but we don't know that Robert. But at least you guys should have known one another a little bit better. You guys constantly doing things against your own rules established, and also make up the things you guys have not even got to. Some of the commissioners started picking up, doing some works. Based on which committee, the nature of it, I will give you the applause, and I have also give the compliments when I saw that happen. However, throughout the whole year, there's one commissioner being always picked on. Every time when she talks, she will be stopped by co-chairs or by other people. Constantly. Now today, when I check on the website, agenda was not available to be seen. That was about an hour, 2 hours ago. No, if you go to the main page, you click on today's meeting. No, it shows TBD. That means to be determined. So we did not have a strong co-chairs to ask city to give us a proper budget to keep our limited staff members to begin with. So lots of things go wrong even after this many months. Sarah left, lots of mistakes keeps happening on the website. Is this something this commission should happen? lots of things are still falling apart. And today, no matter what, some people could see the agenda maybe, but I couldn't. I tried many times. Finally, I can see this hard copy here. The reason you want to remove a particular commissioner, again, Terry Wang, not only you want to remove her from the chair position for committees, you even want to remove her from the whole commission. But all other commissioners did all kinds of things in the past. Nothing ever happened. We have a commissioner couldn't come to the meeting too many times. We have a commissioner behaving in the way that's so emotional, we had to tell the meeting to stop, to have a makeup day. None of these things got dealt with. But why she has been targeted? Since I have come to the meeting often, lots of time when I'm on the street, people grab me, they ask me questions. What should I answer them? There's no transparency for me to give them a real answer. So now I have to come here to ask you guys, do you really think this is really a transparent, fair things you need to do? Procedurally, it's already questionable. And also the content of it is very questionable. Now, coincidentally, back in November, end of November, our director, he was so worked up. He even yelled at somebody on the phone. Even he said, Commissioner Wang is not fit for the position. How many staff we still have? Even if they are good staff, they can still get stressed out. They even start losing their minds because all of you still cannot really work together. The few commissioner actually has the ability to see the real picture for this commission. Terry Wang is one of them. I do see some people picking it up, but not enough. That's why even you work so hard on the grant, see all the problems we still have? Yes, we can all say this is the first time. But because of your background, please understand, you lack lots of the knowledge and skills. So you have to listen to the people who have these knowledge and skills to compensate for you guys to go up together. But you guys don't do that. So in this case, I do agree. Majority of you should leave. Remove yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Chuck Hove, and I'd like to speak first to something, my removing commissioner, a situation where I was an observer as well. It says on at least one occasion is a role of commissioner to interfere with active and ongoing police activity in Cleveland. There was no interference. I was there. We were in a funeral for Henry Senyuk across the street at St. Augustine, and there was a homeless man on the gazebo, and there were 10 police around him, and he was unarmed. It seemed like a highly unusual situation. Terry came into the church and got me. I went there, and I personally thought there should be a crisis intervention team member there, so I called, and the person did come with the social worker as well. There's obviously mental health issues. The police would not let us know what the charges were. We had to find out from the other homeless people that were hanging out there in the park. But regardless of what the charges were, I think it helped to have observers there. I think you don't know what might have happened if there weren't citizen observers there. It was could have been a much more violent situation. And then the other thing I'd like to say is that the city of Cleveland, with its various boards and commissions, tends to try to purge members that don't agree with the administration's policies, and I'm hoping that that is not what is happening here. When someone challenges something like the creation of an emergency general police order, that's a matter of business and discussion that should happen, not a matter of something that, okay, somebody disagrees and we're going to bump them off. If you've ever attended the Landmarks Commission or the Board of Zoning Appeals, you'll see a lot of towing the administration line going on. And I hope that this body is able to maintain its independence and have a diversity of opinion and do due diligence to every piece of information that comes from the administration and not be a rubber stamp. Thank you.
Hello. So my name's Rosie Palfy, and I fully support removing Commissioner Wong from chairing committees, and after an incident I witnessed last week, I do support removing her from the commission. However, she deserves due process, in my opinion. Part of the problem for people talking about rules is Commissioner Wong chairs the Rules Committee. If you go online, the Rules Committee has met more than any other committees, and she's not the only one, but there are members here who, when they're voting on rules, they stop and think, how can this rule be used against me? And then they try to change it. I've seen it. Okay. I've seen it with numerous people, okay? And so anyway, I think you guys have to think about, since you're going to be looking at accountability for officers, you would have a separate hearing for them. I think maybe you might want to have a special meeting for this. Another thing is there's a commissioner who had a lot of absences and violated the rules. However, that commissioner had spoke to the co-chairs and got permission. Nobody looked at the rules, right? And so it was a mistake. However, a huge report was submitted to the city, and my name was included because I put in a records request, and whoever's working at the law department, I only got half of my records request fulfilled. I didn't get the emails I asked for. One of the most disturbing things about this was there were commissioners who, I'm not talking about the absence being disturbing, that was what happened afterwards. There were commissioners trying to change the rules, but backdate the rules. And I really think that if you're going to include a member of the public's name in a report, that they should be told about that. Also, I was here at a meeting last week, and after the meeting, well, during the meeting, I criticized Commissioner Wong for the first time in a year. She didn't take that well. I don't know if this had anything to do with it, but after the meeting, I've never seen anything like this before. Commissioner Benito and I were having a conversation, and we heard yelling. We turned around, and Commissioner Wong was yelling and lunging at the interim director, Jason Goodrick, and had her finger in his face, wagging it like 2 or 3 inches away. Now, and she was upset about her records request, blaming him for that, okay? I still don't know what happened, but that was not the way to handle it, and I don't know if somebody treated me like that, if I would have been as composed. And it was so bad that after she left, I asked Pastor Commissioner Early if he could perform an exorcism. It was bad. It was really bad. Nobody should be treated like that in the workplace. Some of you are not showing up to meetings, but you're collecting a paycheck. And that's really a concern. I don't think some of those people know what's going on. And finally, this is going to be my last. Sorry. It's ironic that I'm getting emotional because I've heard a couple of you basically mock me for that. However, this is going to be my last meeting as a community advocate. I've been an advocate for 15 years. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that I could be subpoenaed, that my records could be subpoenaed, or that I could be required to be a witness in a hearing to remove a commissioner? It's really horrible that somebody like me, and there are other community members that are probably going to be put in that situation. I think that you all need to look at your rules and make sure that you update them to address some of the situations that people brought up. After what happened in June, I said there should be decorum rules. I said there should be security. I know some people might not like the optics of having a uniformed police officer here, but the city pays to rent this building, and there are officers at city council meetings. Finally, I want to welcome the new attorney. I think he's going to find out really quickly that he's going to have a trial by fire. Thank you.
Hi, I just wish to say that this city should change its name to No Good Deed Goes Unpunished. In our communities here, there's such insidious oppression that that people are very atomized and disillusioned because of the the politics, which often seem to be more about as Jimi Hendrix would say, the love of power than about the power of love for citizens that have gone through decades of deindustrialization, jobs shipped overseas. I don't care, from rural areas to the urban areas. I've never been in a place in which identity was used as costume politics so much, and reasons for people to be in positions. So I started a project because the problem here is lack of accountability. The plain dealer used to turn heads all over the country because of the quality of its journalism. Now it's a pamphlet, and people in other cities ask me, what happened to this great rag? Libraries used to fly out of Cleveland. It was one of the most literate cities in the country, I think next to New York before Seattle. How can so much go wrong with Band-Aid and window dressing as a way to finesse things instead of getting to the heart of the matter, which is the poverty here, and that money that goes towards window dressing and futile kind of development projects. Really see what's going on globally and the suffering in the world. I think that is our job as human beings, to take that to heart and not to be cavalier about it. And maybe that was a wrong idea. I think Superman was born in Cleveland because those individuals experienced so much grief. They were like, help, help. I've seen elected officials whose relationship to the people, with one particular individual, is to pay people, almost like a bribery, to come get goods. Like, you've got people begging here. And crime is often related to moments of opportunity out of desperation. People get sent up for small mistakes that and childhood is criminalized. So I think you have to start with thinking, when did children become targets on either side of the gun, and that this deep problem requires more compassion. That's all I ask. It's like less of all this, the bickering. So anyway, in my project, I invited journalists, writers from other places to come and inhabit a community, to pay attention. And let's just say that the last administration, the current one, and the one before that, whatever their skin color, they're not representing the people, not the black people in Glenville or Huff, anywhere. They're representing big business. And that's obvious. The trickle down. Sherwin-Williams polluting our waters. And who's responsible for the lead? other states and cities sued Sherwin-Williams. So policing as a metaphor for everything needs to be reconsidered. So anyway, maybe this is Gotham City, and we have to call on superpowers. Thanks for
Thank
listening.
you so much. We're gonna close public comment and we're gonna move to our next item of business. And we're gonna try to make up for time. The next item of business is co-chair report. Would you like to put, a motion for it?
I guess I just want to make a couple of comments. And I think I'm correct that Commissioner Donaldson, this is your last meeting before you begin a 3-month leave of absence. I just want to announce that to the full commission as well as to the public, that this will be Commissioner Donaldson's last meeting for the next 3 months. And then he'll be on a leave of absence. I also want to bring to the table a motion to determine or to solidify the stipends for the co-chairs, for the new co-chairs that will be coming in, as well as for the current ones. That it had been agreed that the co-chairs would receive a stipend outside of the 600, I want to say, I can't even remember the amount, but it does need to be formalized by the commission so that it can we'll be able to take it to finance for payment. So I want to put that motion on the table. Yeah, I make the motion, yes.
To the chair, can you explain to us what the stipend is and how that extension or how you came about that and that decision?
It was in the charter, and it was originally part of the budget. It was just never formalized, from the standpoint of a motion. And the city of Cleveland needs that in order to make payment. Yes.
Just one quick question. Why does it need to be finalized if it's in the charter?
It wasn't in the charter, but it was included in the city's budget last year. That was adopted by us. So, but at that time, it was for one chair, and then you all made a rule for 2 people. So, and then it was discussed between the city and the co-chairs how that would move forward at that point.
So is this the additional 600 that co-chairs get, or is this a stipend on top of that additional $600?
It's on top of the stipend that all commissioners get. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? It's just the additional. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm putting this motion on the floor for approval so that we can send the appropriate paperwork forward to finance for payment.
Just also a quick question, because I think the way that the charter reads, isn't there, I guess we do the yearly budget, isn't there supposed to be a COLA increase for all commissioners? That's based on cost of living, and then sorry, is it supposed to be the COLA increase, and then this will go to, I'm just trying to understand.
So I'm not sure about a COLA.
Okay.
So,
okay.
But just to be in order, we need a second before we can have discussion.
Oh, sorry.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Adams? So just for the record, so the motion is to move forward, especially since it's the end of our term, to receive payment of $500. Any questions? Any further questions or debate? Hence none, let's call for a vote. Commissioner Adams?
Aye.
Commissioner Benito?
Aye.
Commissioner Schur?
Aye.
Commissioner Donaldson?
Aye.
Commissioner Early?
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson?
Aye.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves?
Aye.
Co-Chair Ridgway?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer?
Aye.
Commissioner Co-Chair Robert? Aye. Commissioner Wong?
Aye.
Commissioner Zayed?
Aye.
Motion passes with unanimous consent. Any further business? I think we should move this along. Okay, the next item of business is the executive director report.
Good evening, everybody. Are we, audio off? I'm gonna use this mic. Excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think it,
Oh, gotcha.
Thank you. The usual. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the robust attendance this evening. Appreciate all of the people who spend their time coming here, and also a lot of new faces this evening, so thank you. I'm going to keep the report short, recognizing that the agenda is so busy, and it is actually just one item. We've talked about it for many, many months, adding a staff attorney. The staff attorney is a joint position with the city law department based off of the budget. We are cost sharing that position for half-time, and it was done through a selection committee that consisted of law department, and on the CPC side, co-chair Ridgway and myself. And the person who came out on top during that selection process is Mr. Martin Balat, and he is here with us. If you want to stand up today. Just want to introduce. It's been a long time since we've had a new staff member, and he does for the very first time hold the position of staff legal counsel, which we've never had in the history of the CPC either. So that is my report. I'm sure you'll see Mr. Bilat here getting involved and helping these commissioners work out some of their issues. So that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the committee, and we look forward to working with you closely. The next item of business is the committee status report. Police Accountability Committee, Commissioner Wong.
Thank you. So the police accountability meeting we met this month, there was a brief hiatus into our meetings. I know that there's a lot of chatter going around about why that was, but the reason is that we have had 4 sets of records requests with the city that are overdue. And I did not feel it was the best use of our time to train based on imaginary records or partial records. There was also a delay with staff Ryan Walker's project with the disciplinary charts. We are going to make some flow charts that explain the disciplinary process and disambiguate some of the problems that even the division may not practice exactly. So I do want to say that the good news is I want to share a little bit about these records requests. We are talking about a records request. There's 2 records to OPS requested on July 31st of last year and August 4th of last year. That makes them 155 and 151 days overdue. The reason there's that 21-day difference is that according to Judge Oliver's ruling, OPS and any part of the city has to give us our records in 21 days. Unfortunately, in that request, they ran us through a few hoops, and ultimately, Mr. Goodrick told me not to pursue that request. Those were the records that we needed for the training. The second request that was made, and I do want to say that Mr. Perez, who runs OPS, said that he had the records ready. All the processes were ready to send these records to us, but it seems to be a process issue that there seems to be, I have to say it on record, intentional delay on the part of the city departments. I can't not say this when a records request is 155 days overdue. And there were discussions on how to pass this information along that I was not involved in, which is unfortunate. The third records request, so there are 2 records requests. The third records request was made by the Brady Giglio work group, and that was requested on October 27th, 2023, making it 68 days overdue. And in that records request, we simply asked for the full disciplinary files of officers charged in the last 2 years, which I consider a pretty simple records request. Unfortunately, I have to mention again that unbeknownst to me, Executive Director Goodrick added the word human resources to that records request without my knowledge or permission. And that, I believe, allowed the city to obfuscate and, pretend that they don't understand what a full disciplinary file means. We even described it as the chief's file. Mr. Chura can testify that this file exists. So this is, and now that is still overdue, and it has been left with the city still saying that they don't understand our records request. So the work of the Brady Giglio work group has been stalled a little bit because we don't have those records, and they're very necessary to maintain the integrity of that work group. The last record request is actually the most troubling to me because in late December, a community member approached the commission. Ms. Johnson is her name, and she wanted to appeal her OPS case to us. Somehow, miraculously, she found out that we are the appeal authority, even though some entities in the city say that we're not. And she wanted just for us to look at this case. And in our rules, in rule of procedure, in procedure, I think 2.2, it might not be the right rule, but we have a process that within 14 days, because we didn't have the lawyer at that point, that Mr. Goodwood would provide just an assessment of the disposition of the case if the case was able to be brought to us. No assessment beyond that. We contacted OPS on the 27th, and we got the same kind of snake-like kind of action. And in the end, I was very troubled by the recent CPRB meeting, that when they discussed Ms. Johnson's case, it was said by two members especially, one said of CPRB, claimed that this is the first time that he had heard that we have authority over them. And another person also said that if the CPC has authority over us, why should we even bother sending our cases and making our decisions to the chief and safety director? It's troubling. I'm very glad the assistant law director in that case corrected them that this was a new part of the charter. I hoped that CPRB, I think there's some members here, that they will realize that and keep their members up to date about the new dynamics of Charter 115.5. I do not think it has anything to do with whether a manual is updated or not. It's clear that we have final authority over these cases. However, we need CPRB and our hardworking citizens on that bureau to do their job because they actually have final authority over the police chief and safety director. And that was another error that was mentioned in the previous CPRB meeting, that they're not exercising their authority. I know lots of people from the community think of us as, they can't wait for us to hear cases. And I think it's because of some of the troubles that they have maybe faced with OPS and also internally. But we are like an appellate court, if I can make an analogy. We need the other components of the system to work, and it is extraordinarily important that all components of the system, of the discipline system, do their job because it would be extraordinarily taxing for this commission to see the deluge of cases, and ultimately we had to fix it even more upstream with the discipline system itself, with training, with policy. So that is, but I'm very troubled that OPS and CPRB, whatever, and I've not been involved in these conversations, unfortunately, but let's just get it together. This is a citizen now asking for our help, and we are not able to do our job to help her. I think it's a real shame that we're using process and we're using, and I know I've been accused of stopping process. I never stop process. The only time it's because if it affects the product. But here, we're just asking for a case file. I would like a bit of update because I believe that you had a meeting with CPRB, and the update now is that they are saying that it will take 6 months for us to get a case file, which would be extraordinarily deleterious. I mean, I have to say, these are case files of their public records that have been presented in a public meeting. And so if Co-Chair Ridgway can give us some understanding about why, and maybe some members of CPR, why this would take so long to get these requests. And I have one other comment after that.
Okay, I think that it's important for the full commission to understand that some of the assumptions that we have made about OPS as well as the Police Review Board are wrong. They are wrong. And even some of the information that has been presented tonight, that information is wrong. We have had these discussions. We are not over the Civilian Police Review Board and OPS. They are an independent agency, just as we are an independent agency. And part of the issue is we have a set of rules, they have a set of rules, and at no point have we come together to align those rules so that they work for both them and for us. And the way we have requested files, you pick up a phone and say, I need 20-some files, I come and pick them up today, that's wrong. That's not the process. So we need to establish a process so it works for them and it works for us. So we have met with the Police Review Board. We have the executive director was part of that meeting, the two co-chairs, their executive director and their chair. And we talked about how do we bring these rules closer so that we could effectively get the information we need in an efficient way. And so some of this information that has been shared, and I keep saying this, our interpretation of things, that's not always right. It's not always right. It's how we see it. Until we go to the table and create an opportunity for collaboration where we can talk about how we can bring our processes closer in alignment, we will always have this disparity of time. And they have a set of rules. Their rules are not our rules with 14 or 15 days. So rather than say my rules are right and yours wrong, let's sit down with them and figure out how we can align those rules so it works for both. So that was the purpose of that meeting. It wasn't the first meeting. When the first incident occurred and those records were requested back in July, the way they were requested, if anybody followed those threads, they were requested incorrectly. They were requested incorrectly. You cannot call the Police Review Board and demand a set of 20-some cases and say, I'll come and pick them up. That's not how we work. That's not how they work. There's an accountability even there, okay? So our role as chairs, we were supposed to try to find a way to make this work for our commission as well as for them. I think we made headway, considerable headway 2 days ago when we met. We are drafting what we all came up with. They definitely have to come back to the commission here, but I think we're very close to making this work for both us as well as for the Police Review Board.
Can I? Sure.
So could you address Commissioner Wong's point that about the 6 months? Is that, I mean, in what you're drafting, is that, I mean, that, I agree with Commissioner Wong that is extraordinarily
It's not
long
about
time.
adjudication. You want to?
So from my understanding, that there is a process that when they have their cases, that they will redact information. But from my understanding, that we will have the redacted information. So that's for their processes, if I'm not mistaken, but I can feel free to have one come forward.
There are also 2 points of redactions. Records can be redacted by the investigators themselves, and records are redacted at the law department level. We believe that they don't even think, that's not, yeah.
Can we?
No, that's with adjudication and everything.
Do you mind if I just,
Yes,
since I was
please.
there? Okay. So we learned some new information, and that is, one, they do want to cooperate, so I want to make that
Yes.
clear, okay?
Yes.
They do not want to hold up this records request. They are working on the request for that investigation that we were done. So I just want to put that aside. They did not disagree with providing those records with us. What this commission didn't know and should be extremely concerned about is that the city has pulled their ability to see into evidence.com, so they can't do their investigations. I don't know if the public knows about that. So they no longer have the ability, their OPS investigators, to look at body camera footage or anything they need to investigate a case without asking the city to get those records. And what they were told is that it could take up to 6 months. So it has nothing to do with us, it has to do with their ability, right? So that's what was relayed to us. And that's an important point to understand, is that they're also dealing with some problems on that side of the house related to access and the way things work. So this is an important thing to understand. Now, that was done because the state of Ohio has come up with the argument that if you're not certified law enforcement, you can't see these things. So this should affect all of us, right? Because an attack on one side of civilian oversight and restriction of their ability to do that job, we should be uniform with them to make sure that we're all able to get access to records from the city. So that was something that we learned. So that could, in some ways, affect the time that we are able to get records from them, right? The other thing that they agreed to, which was great, was that on the side of the house they do have control over, so after they do an investigation, they have access to their records in IA Pro, the things that they've done, right? They are willing to give us account access to IA Pro so that when we make a request, they can just drop it in there, the things that we need, and we can see it. So there was a lot of progress made there, and there is not this specter of massive resistance between the two entities. So I just want to be clear that there was a lot of forward momentum made, and that I think that records are going to flow smoothly in the future between us. But it's not always up to them to have the access that they used to have anymore. So we just have to be cautious about that.
Thank you for adding that.
Why don't you let Mr. Delonte Spencer Thomas just explain some things to me about that? He said because of 115, did they pull
Right.
access on certain things? So
That's what he just said.
Yeah, it was,
He just said
that was, yes, go ahead. If the chairs want to defer, I don't have the ability to defer.
Yeah, let him explain.
Yeah.
Because he said the state.
Yeah, yeah, come on.
No, I just had a question.
So, good evening, everyone. Delonte Spencer Thomas, Chief Assistant Director of Law and Chief Ethics Officer for the city. So, for I guess point of clarification, so one of the things that the charter amendment did was make CPRB and OPS independent and outside of the Department of Public Safety. Excuse me. So, as a part of the Department of Public Safety, they're considered law enforcement, and so they would have access to what's called leads, LERMs. So it's a statewide or even federally accessed database for law enforcement information. And so by CPRB and OPS being removed from public safety, the state required the city to remove access, right? So that wasn't the city's decision to unilaterally say, hey, OPS and CPRB can't have access anymore, but that the decision came from State Highway Patrol at the state level out of Columbus that said, hey, that access needed to be revoked. And it wasn't just CPS and OPS or CPRB, also monitoring team, DOJ access, like that was also at issue. So these are issues that we're all working through just to make sure that was clarified.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson had a question.
Yes, and I don't know who's more appropriate to answer this, but I guess, and maybe I think this will help us moving forward with even when we get new co-chairs. When that was, when you guys were made aware of that, I guess, when were you guys made aware of that, and how come, one, that wasn't communicated to all commissioners, but also secondly,
Made aware of what?
the 2 days ago. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just so that's part one of my question is like when you guys became aware of it. My second question would be is I know Law Director Spencer Thomas just mentioned the State Ohio Patrol. I also want to know like why wasn't I don't know what committee this would have came out of, but an email sent because OPTA, Ohio. OPTA, whatever, like that is the governing body of law enforcement in the state of Ohio. Why wasn't some type of notification sent out? Because I feel like there could have been maybe an ad hoc committee that could have been formed to maybe advocate to the state of Ohio around to get this exception because of the fact that the framers of like issue 24 never knew.
Yeah,
like,
so
that
we just found out because we had a meeting with Civilian Review Board and OPS. So we just found out. So I do understand the email, but I also understand that we're kind of exiting out of co-chair, so we don't want to form anything. But we wanted to bring it to the forefront, and then this is something that the new co-chairs would do.
No, I understand. It's not an attack on you all. It's just more of there has to be a better standard of communication when something like that has been. People have been made aware of that because there are different people that may be on the commission who has a relationship with people at OPTA, or like we could have reached out and tried to figure out a strategy to have a conversation with either the General Assembly, OPTA, or Ohio State Patrol to help them to see that yes, since we are now independent, we're no longer a part of this. That means it's a loophole that the state of Ohio was able to utilize, in which restricts our access to valuable information. But there could have been an advocacy point that some people could have advocated for. There could be also workarounds, but there has to be a better way that we are informed about that, so that we can do the proper advocacy and we know who to go to at the state of Ohio.
So I agree. So I'm not sure when that was implemented.
Okay.
So okay, all right. I want to emphasize again, I've never been invited to any of these meetings. I've asked for meetings with CPR OPS. In our rules, in 2.2, the person that's supposed to ask for the records, they may want to go through their chair, but our rule is that it goes to the executive director. And as the accountability chair, I would think that, I would have some say or insight onto this process. I was never invited into any of these meetings. Mr. Perez did tell me he met with you twice before this meeting. Twice, okay, he said twice. And okay, it doesn't matter, but these requests were from July 31st of 2023. So I want to ask Mr. Spencer Thomas, when did this change in the system occur? And why were we not alerted until, this is nearly, I don't know how many, like 170 days later? The city has never made any statement to me in all their, through Mr. Heltzel. He did say that he wanted us to do a commission vote for every records request. He did consider CPRB somehow independent from the city, but he never mentioned the mechanical problem of accessing this information. And I can attest, not to put Mr. Perez on, he was the Inspector General for the Pentagon. I think he knows how to redact. I don't understand why this has to go through an additional law department redaction, which is really just slowing the process down. It is not in the charter at all. So I would like to know when, and let me give you some context. I've written, please, I'm so sorry. I just wanted to say, I've given, I'm not taking up, this is actually very important.
Okay.
Well, I mean, thank you, Mr. Early, for commenting on my ability to speak succinctly. But I want to say, what's happening right now, the context that some of the commissioners are missing is that I've had extensive conversations with the monitor about this. And Judge Oliver said 21 days, and now we're saying 6 months, and we are told that
Okay, we're
155
going to
days.
end this discussion
Thank you.
because we need to move this agenda. I'm sorry. I'm
No,
not
you're
chairing
fine,
the
you're
meeting
fine.
Today, but
The
we
next-
need to move this agenda. And the thing is, and
Noted.
this is true for all of us are relatively new in this process. Everybody's trying to determine what, and I think there were 2 terms you used today, our rules and our roles. We're all trying to determine that. We're trying to determine how we can sync some of this, how we can align it, all of that. So it's not a matter of what we did get the information, so now we can identify a process. It's not about individuals. Hell, if we had been the one there, and he had only been talking to us and not to putting something in writing that would come to all of us, we go away. Same thing with you. You may be in that accountability chair today, but what if you had been at that meeting and then you are no longer in that accountability chair? It's really about putting the rules on paper, bringing it to all of us as information, and we're looking at all of the organizations within the city that come under that consent decree and the work that each of us has to do to make sure that we can align those rules so it will work for everybody. So we're going to move this agenda. I will turn this back over to the chair.
Thank you. Overall, I understand that there's time, but there was very vital information, and we wanted to ensure that everybody was informed and on the same page. I think there were very valid questions and points of discussion. The next item of business is budget and grants. Commissioner Adams.
Good evening, everyone. So, for matters of time, I'll keep this brief. Currently, with the Budget and Grants Committee, at our last meeting, we have established we've established a timeline for 2024. So we are in the process of updating all of the materials and documents that we use to process the grants. Our goal is to finalize all of the updates and new materials by April 30th and to have decisions out by September 1st. So I'll just keep that brief. The second item I would like to mention is that we did meet as Ms. Bickerstaff mentioned, we did meet with the City Council's Safety Committee today, and I believe that they heard us, and we made our request for the grants manager position, and they were receptive to that. So hopefully, when they reconfigure the budget, we are hopeful that we will get the grants manager position, particularly to help with grassroots organizations through our process. And then lastly, I would like to have Executive Director Goodrick to update the public on sort of where the grantees are with the contracts. Oh, sorry. Before you do that, Jason, I think Commissioner Kennedy, no?
Just wanted to add that we're working on a survey to gather thoughts and feedback from the grantees. My draft to you will be in your inbox at the end of the week. And so that's another opportunity for us to get some feedback about how to address some of the issues that were brought up today. And it's something that has been top of mind for us. So I want the community to know that this is #1 priority for the Budget and Grants Committee.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams. I would say that the couple of statistics I'll give is we are at 4 signed documents. They're not officially in the system yet, right? The major challenge that we've had, as was discussed this morning in council, so I'll keep it very brief, is some of these organizations don't have the ability to and don't have a operating fund. So the city's default to protect taxpayer dollars is disbursement. It's the way government does grants typically. We have allowed organizations, if they identify a hardship, to come back to us and say, we don't have the cash to put money forward, so we need to do it a different way. So we're working with any organization that comes and says we don't have an operating budget to try and customize their contract, and that has slowed some of them down. Rest assured, we will do everything we can. I understand these are cumbersome. I heard OC, as she mentioned, we've had several conversations, and I do understand that government contracts are cumbersome. Government contracts are not the same as Cleveland Foundation contracts. We should address that as a commission, no doubt, but right now we don't have a way to change that, so we're working as quickly as we can to get everyone their money. But right now, it's still in contract phase, and the closest we are is 4 signatures at this point.
Thank you.
Yeah, just a quick update. In the last Budget and Grants Committee, we discussed reaching out to some grant-making experts. So Commissioner Kennedy and I are in touch with people from the Gun Foundation and Cleveland Foundation to sort of sit down with them and get some input as we revise our process. That's it.
Okay, the next item of business is police policy. Pete Van Leer.
Okay, so a quick update first before we go into the motions. Since we passed the GPO resolution on December 19th, we've been in pretty constant communication with the Division of Police, and we have set a monthly meeting, which was required that we do that by the end of January, and so we've got that in place. And now we're looking ahead to the end of February, where we need to have a more formalized process with the division, and that's we have a lot of cooperation from Commander Carney, from others, but we need to make sure we can go up the chain of command and get that, and we hope to bring that to the full commission at our February 28th meeting, I believe it is. So that's just a quick update. Other than that, we have 3 GPOs that have been sent to us by the division. By Commander Carney, and in the last policy committee meeting, we looked at those and we passed them out. Now, the first one there is animal incidents, and I would make a motion to pass that as a full commission as it is currently written. If you look at it, there is one change that we made to their I'm sorry, that was the next one. So we didn't make any changes to animal incidents. So I would make I'd like to move that we pass that general police order as it is currently written.
I second the motion.
Okay, it's been properly moved in second for the commission to discuss animal incidents 2.01.09. Any question or debate at this time? Any question or debate? Commissioner Wong.
I do want to clarify that at the policy meeting, I was very disappointed, not for this policy, because this policy has gone through the DOJ. There were two policies.
Okay, we're gonna keep it with
No, no, but I
just this policy.
I want to comment on, I'm commenting on that, that this is the only policy that's gone through the DOJ. The two others have not been looked at by lawyers, and there's a major problem with the ShotSpotter GPO that was never looked at.
Okay, so excuse me.
That's,
At this time, we're discussing the motion on animal incidents 2.01.09. Any other question or debate? Any other question or debate? Hence none, we're gonna take a vote. Commissioner Adams.
Aye.
Commissioner Benito.
Aye.
Commissioner Shura.
Aye.
Commissioner Donaldson.
Aye.
Commissioner Early. Commissioner Garrett Ferguson.
Aye.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves.
Aye.
Co-Chair Ridgway. Commissioner Van Leer.
Aye.
Co-Chair Rodriguez. Aye. Commissioner Wong.
aye.
Commissioner Zayed.
Aye.
Motion passes with unanimous consent. The next item of business is
Is the next GPO, yes. So transitional duty, 1.05.13, that was another GPO that was sent to us by the division and that we discussed at the last policy committee meeting last week. And in it, so transitional duty, hopefully you've all had a chance to read this. It's really about giving alternative temporary job duties to members of the division who have an injury or illness. So they can stay on the force and do work, but not necessarily on the road. So the only change we made to that, if you look under section 4, point A, we deleted the term bona fide from that regarding the medical restrictions prescribed by members' physician of record. Other than that, we found no issues with this particular GPO, and we recommend that the full commission. We voted it out to be considered by the full commission for passage.
Do we have a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved in second for the full commission to approve transitional duty 1.05.13. Any question or debate at this time? Commissioner Wong.
I want to note again that neither two of this policy or the other one has been discussed in the policy committee. I can't remember which one. It was never discussed. We actually just, looking at a few words is not discussion. And I believe one of the commissioners, I don't want to name it, said that one of these two policies they did not even read before they passed it that night. I have a concern, actually. I don't remember what I voted on bona fide. This was, I think the thought was that we didn't want to presume that somebody was lying about their medical conditions. But the more I looked at that term, the more I realized that that is actually a term that's often used in employment law, in workers' compensation. Whether, I don't know the, maybe Martin can answer for us. I don't know what, I mean, it's there as in italics. I've seen it in other legal documents. I don't know, again, what the impact is, because I'm not a lawyer, and I wish that these had not been read really by any attorney. Mr. Martin wasn't here, but I think that this is not a good standard for process, and I don't like that the policy committee doesn't do its full homework and then kicks the can to the full commission. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other further question or debate?
So, Martin, could you answer that question?
We can't do that at this time. Thank you so much.
Do you have a friendly amendment? Do you have an amendment or a motion to make?
The more I think about it, I don't think that is meant to disparage the person in any way. I've seen that that term. I don't know why it's in italics, so I would include that back. I think people do, unfortunately.
Is that your
That's my
amendment?
friendly amendment to add that back. Because I don't know the impact of not having it there.
So, Commissioner Benito.
Well, we have a motion on the floor, so we need a second.
So you did a friendly amendment to add a term? To add bona fide back in. Is there a second? The friendly amendment was placed on the floor. So you want to second it?
To the chair, the motion that was made and seconded was to pass it as it is. The friendly amendment, it's a motion by Commissioner Wong to add the language back in that we had struck in policy committee and voted to the full commission. So that motion, which is part of the main motion, but has to be either seconded or not, and if it's seconded, we would vote on it and then move forward with the main motion.
So it's the friendly amendment does not seem like it has a second at this time. So it dies on the floor. So it goes back to the main motion of passing transmittal duty 1.05.13 as read. Any questions or debate? Hence none. Let's go for the vote. Okay, because you have spoken, so we're going to go for the vote. Commissioner Adams.
Aye.
Commissioner Shura.
Aye.
Commissioner Donaldson.
Aye.
Commissioner Early.
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson.
Aye.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves.
Aye.
Co-Chair Ridgway.
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer.
Aye.
Co-Chair Rodriguez. Aye. Commissioner Wong.
Abstain.
Commissioner Zayed.
Aye.
Motion passes with 12.
I also vote aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I?
It's okay.
Oh, Commissioner Benito. With 12. In my mind, I calculate. With 12.
Okay, the next, if I may, the next GPO that passed out of the policy committee is restricted duty 1.02.05. And this is around instances when a member violates, it's a misdemeanor criminal charge, not a felony, or a criminal or administrative investigation, serious violation of rules or regulations or general police orders. That member is temporarily unable to perform regular duties. They are given an opportunity for temporary alternative assignment. So one of the things that was discussed with Commander Carney was that there was a part of the process here was clarification between transitional duty and restricted duty. So this is the motion which we approved, the GPO which we approved out of policy committee for consideration by the full commission. And so I move that we pass this GPO.
I'll second.
It has been properly moved in second to pass the restricted duty 1.02.05. Any question or debate at this time? Commissioner Wong.
I also voted no on this because Commander Carney was actually there at the meeting, and he said he would love feedback on this. There was no other feedback. I don't know if this was, again, there was very little discussion. Even though they appear to be non-constitutional issues, every single GPO, speaking as the accountability chair, will affect discipline. I feel very uncomfortable that we didn't have any further assessment of this. There should have been a work group formed of lawyers, at least, no lawyer has looked at this that's independent with us, or even as a volunteer attorney. And again, I don't understand this process that we keep just rubber stamping these things, especially when the division itself has said we are willing to cooperate. I mean, this is a draft. It's always a working type of progress, and we seem to be rushing again to completion.
Thank you. Any further question or debate at this time? Any further question or debate? If none, we're going to call for the vote. Commissioner Adams?
Aye.
Commissioner Benito?
Aye.
Commissioner Shura?
Aye.
Commissioner Donaldson?
Aye.
Commissioner Early?
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson?
Aye.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves?
Aye.
Co-Chair Ridgway?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer?
Aye.
Co-Chair Rodriguez? Aye. Commissioner Wong?
Abstain.
Commissioner Zayed?
Aye.
Motion passes with 12.
The next order of business here is I would make a motion. Actually, let me first give some background. This ShotSpotter draft has been worked on pretty extensively through a work group that Commissioner Wong and I have worked on for the past couple months, and it has gone through a pretty thorough review. That said, yeah, we did vote it actually out of the policy committee last week. That said, after that, we received some feedback from the division, And I would like to make a motion, therefore, and we didn't have time to really consider that and look at it. It seemed like it would be a lot to take on for the full commission. So I would make a motion that we put this back to the work group and the committee.
I'll second that.
Thank you. It has been properly moved in second to move the ShotSpotter detection system 5.08.04 to the committee. Any question or debate at this time?
Sorry.
Commissioner
Me
Wong.
again. Thank you. I was the no vote on this, and for that exact reason. And it seems like now we only send things back to committee when the division tells us to send something back to committee. I was on the work group. There were extensive and thorough revisions to it, to the parts that matter for Fourth Amendment rights. There are parts outside of it that are internally inconsistent now because of what we have revised in that section, and the other parts have never been looked at. So, and we can discuss this in committee, so I don't have to bring it up right now, but this is, again, a actual process issue. If the division had not stopped us, we would have just gone forward with this. And the alternative that I had provided was just to carve out the constitutional issues because they were most important and impactful. But I can't even imagine for a GPO of this extraordinary importance that we need the division to be putting barriers on us. We have to have independent civilian oversight. I mean, I saw no problem with pushing forward just what the lawyers had worked on. We had never worked on the other parts. This is really a travesty that, again, we are just doing what the division tells us.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Benito?
I would just like to put on the record that in our policy committee meeting, there was disagreement between Commissioner Wong and Commissioner Van Leer and Executive Director Goodrick, who were also at those meetings, who said that the work group members did review the entire policy document.
I thought it was me, but it wasn't. You see me, I was struggling up here. I swear to God, that wasn't me.
Darth Vader has entered the meeting.
Yeah, Darth Vader, turn off your mic.
Yeah.
Commissioner Benito?
Thank you.
We gotta move on.
I know, it's very
because
important.
you have commented.
I'm not finished, thank you. So there is a difference in opinion on that. Commissioner Van Leer did tell me that he talked to another member of the work group who said that he also did recall reading the entire document. So I just want to put that to the record since we are talking publicly about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Early?
And I do also want to add to the commissioners in policy committee, we passed this so that you all could read it, and if you had any objections, you could always send it back to committee. So it's not a final decision that we make. We vote it out of committee for you then to review it and then vote on the decision that you all want to make.
Yes, to the chair, I would just second that, and this is an opportunity for you all to, if you haven't read it, if you want to look at it, feel free to reach out and provide any feedback, and we have some time now again to.
Okay.
And I would also say that I feel that, as Commissioner Benito said, that I did check in with a member of the work group, and his recollections were the same as mine and Director Goodrick's, that we had discussed that, and there were no changes from that. There was a sub-work group of the work group that had looked very deeply at this policy, and at the GPO, the General Police Order, and they had honed in on that one section where we spent our time. The other sections, according to this person who helped lead that work, was not something we need to weigh in on. Now we can take that back up, and we're going to be talking at the work group, and we'll make sure that that's truly the case and that we make sure it's aligned.
Because we gotta start moving this forward.
Twice. Can I just address? I want to.
I
have to. I'm sorry. I have to say this. This is not incorrect. There are other members of the work group that do not have the same recollection, and we know this is not to be true.
Thank you so much.
Because there's a part that should have been deleted if they did look at the entire thing because it's internally inconsistent.
Okay. Thank you. That is noted. The question is on the adoption to send the gunshot detection system ShotSpotter back to the committee. We're going to take a vote. Commissioner Adams?
Aye.
Commissioner Benito?
Aye.
Commissioner Schur?
Aye.
Commissioner Donaldson?
Aye.
Commissioner Early?
Aye.
Commissioner Garrett Ferguson,
Aye.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves,
Aye.
Co-Chair Ridgway,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer,
Aye.
Co-Chair Rodriguez, aye. Commissioner Wong,
Aye.
Commissioner Zayed.
Aye.
Motion passes. The next item of business is Outreach Committee. Do you have a report?
Yeah, just something really brief. So we haven't met in a while, but that's just because our outreach staff has been working to advance the framework that we put in place, and we're still working on that. I plan to schedule a meeting within the next 2 weeks to work on the final components of the survey. Our executive director is going to put that RFQ out for a vendor to help us administer the survey out this week, and it will be open for about 30 days. So so we're continuing to work on that, and then Shelley Williams has been working to finalize a draft for the outreach plan that we will discuss in that meeting that's going to be scheduled within the next 2 weeks. Do you have anything, Kate? Anybody else? You? Alana? Okay.
Thank you. The next item of business is Rules Committee. Commissioner Wong, do you have a report?
I do have, we passed the rule for the co-chair election today. I didn't realize that we had any amendment to the rule would need to be approved with the minutes. So I do want to say that I guess technically, if anybody else wants to run for co-chair, you are allowed to throw your hat in the ring. I do want to note that that rule for the co-chair was passed not in the ideal situation I had wanted, because it was supposed to be contingent on the committee chair rule. And I believe that putting them together is how you balance the system and balance the power between the co-chairs and the committee chairs. So I think this is of noted importance, because if anybody is wondering, why this action of removal against me is being done now, it's because there's a pending rule that would prevent the commission from removing committee chairs, because logically, it would be the people that elected the person, which would be the committee, that should make the decision. So I just want to note the problem of using a loophole or using something to get what we want.
Okay. Thank you so much for your report. The next item of business is Training Committee. Commissioner Adams, do you have a report?
Very brief. So it's a few things. When, at our last meeting, we're going to focus on bias-free policing in the training committee. So Commissioner Benito and I have been tasked with contacting experts to sort of help us to start that process of focusing on bias-free policing. And then the only other item that I have is for the commissioners. I received a call that recently we sent some feedback on the crowd management for the police. So the crowd management is basically if there's a protest, like in 2020, or there's like gatherings of large crowds, it basically determines how the police will be trained on how to better handle incidents like what happened in 2020. So the request was from the DOJ and the monitoring team that they would like that crowd management training that went through the training committee to be passed by the full commission. So what I'm going to do is, I didn't want to send it to you all without you understanding what you were receiving, but I'm going to send, after this meeting, I'm going to send those materials to the full commission for your feedback. So in that document, you can literally type your comments into the document. So I'm going to give everyone a week, and then after people have had a chance to look at it and put their comments in, we're going to send that back so that we can send that to the DOJ.
Thank you so much. The next item of business is the motions that was moved forward. Would you like to present your motion?
Certainly. So this motion is for the removal of Commissioner Wong as chair of the Accountability Committee and the Rules Committee. So I'm going to read, if it's okay with the presiding co-chair, I'm going to read through it. Whereas the Cleveland Community Police Commission was established to, quote, respond to community needs and concerns regarding regulation of the city's police force and community police relations, and whereas the commission has established internal rules requiring members to demonstrate the highest standards of personal integrity and commitment, truthfulness, and fortitude in order to inspire trust among CPC stakeholders and to set an example for others, and whereas these rules stipulate that commission members, quote, must treat all individuals with dignity and respect and without preference or discrimination, and whereas the rules further require members to engage in, quote, open, candid, and non-defensive dialogue with all stakeholders and seek to educate and learn from the community. And whereas the rules require members to place their obligation to the community, their duty to uphold the law, and the goals and objectives of the CPC above personal self-interest. And whereas Commissioner Wong serves as chair of both the Rules Committee and the Police Investigations, Discipline, and Accountability Committee. And whereas the Commissioner's internal rules are silent on the procedure for removing committee chairs. And whereas Robert's Rules of Order newly revised have been approved by the Commission as the governing rules on issues on which the Commission's internal rules are silent, and Section 6216 of Robert's Rules of Order newly revised 12th edition allows that, quote, any regularly elected officer of a permanent society can be removed from office by the society's assembly, unquote, with a majority vote when previous notice has been given. And whereas Commissioner Wong has repeatedly violated the norms and requirements of both the established rules adopted by the Commission since January 2023 and Robert's Rules by impugning the motives, character, and integrity of community members and fellow commissioners, and privately and publicly attacking and disparaging community members and fellow commissioners, and verbally attacking Commission staff over whom the Commission, by city charter, exercises direct supervisory authority, and using the power of her role as chair to delay the work of Commission committees by canceling meetings and or failing to schedule meetings in a timely manner. Therefore, be it resolved that Commissioner Wong is hereby removed from her role as chair of the Police Investigations, Discipline, and Accountability Committee and chair of the Rules Committee, effective immediately upon an affirmative vote of a majority of the commissioners present and voting, and that Commissioner Wong, once removed as chair of these committees, may not be considered for or elected as chair of any committee for no less than 6 months upon approval of this resolution. That's the resolution in its entirety, and I just want to say that this is not something I, for one, have taken lightly. I have worked closely with Commissioner Wong over the past year and value her input and her thoughts and her drive to get this work done. However, repeated multiple complaints from community members and having witnessed and heard of attacks and experienced attacks against staff and committee and commission members, I really believe that this is this really feels like it left me and leaves us with little choice but to act and to really provide a way to move forward and get our work done. I would also say that this is not about legal issues or laws or the Constitution. It's about our internal rules, and as such does not rise to the level of the some of the ideas around is this legal? Do we need legal advice? This is our rules, and this is how we interpret our rules, and this is what the discussion is tonight. Is this an appropriate response? And if not, we'll have that discussion.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay. The question is on the adoption to remove Commissioner Wong basically from her committee chairs. Any question or debate at this time? Co-Chair Ridgway?
Yes, I would just like to make 2 comments. I believe that discipline must be progressive. I believe that if we have not addressed this in terms of a reprimand, in terms of censure, or in terms of some other form of discipline until we get to a removal, I think that we need to look at this process again. I also think we need to define this term egregious. If we believe that these charges or these alleged charges are egregious, then we need to identify what those egregious charges are so those of us who are prepared to vote know what we're voting for. Thirdly, we have a rule that says that the committee members elect its chairs. Our rules are silent on how that chair is removed. So so now we're reverting back to Robert's rules that says that we can vote as a full commission on that removal. I would say this, that at some point it needs to go back to the Rules Committee. I know you all talk about me and process, but I'm going to talk about process. If it says that the committee elects its chair, then that committee should also determine how to deselect that chair. And at this point, our rules are silent on that. So I just believe that whatever the outcome of this motion is, it must go back to the Rules Committee to establish how any chair can be removed that will coincide with the rule of how those chairs are elected.
Any further comments or concerns, Commissioner Early?
To the chairs, can we explain to the community the process in removing a commissioner, not from committee, but from the total commission itself, just so that they're aware, because it was brought up today in the public safety.
So I think when we do the removal of a commissioner, I think that would be more appropriate there, because in general, we're just talking about a committee, and that's more internal for us. Commissioner Garrett Ferguson?
Yes, just looking at some of this I'm just concerned with some of the language and the reasons that were given. I think that a lot of this is very subjective. And I think like even in the motion, it says that whereas the commissioner's internal rules are silent on the procedure for removing committee chairs, I think that a lot of this around, I think someone in the community mentioned like impugning the motives, character, integrity, power the power or role as a chair to delay committee meetings. I think something I'm very concerned about is that there is no standard operating procedure. There is nothing in the rules that actually outlines what is the exact duties of a co-chair that they should have. And I know that I talked to a few other commissioners who said that I guess that has been in the works on the Rules Committee. I don't know. I don't sit on the Rules Committee. But I think before you can make allegations about someone's character, about what they're doing or how they're misusing their power, you first have to have some type of standard, some type of procedure that actually outlines what is the duties, what does it mean to be a co-chair, how many, a committee chair, I'm sorry, how many meetings are they supposed to have? Do they have to do reports? How many meetings after like the thing with, I guess, the delay in us getting the notices? I think how many meetings can be delayed before we will meet, even if we don't have the information. Like that type of stuff needs to actually be listed out in an actual rule, and none of that is on paper. And so then we're getting this document, and a lot of this is just going to Robert's Rules of Order. And I know we internally have agreed that Robert's Rules of Order would be a guiding principle for us, but I think for us to make something as permanent and make something like this that actually can also be seen as disparaging a person's character without even giving them a chance to refute these allegations just based on Robert's Order, it just doesn't make as much sense. So I would hope that we would have an actual internal process for this of what the standards are to be a committee chair and also what it is to be removed as a committee chair before we just put discipline out there for someone. Because I think most of this is subjective. There's nothing in here that's verbatim, that is substantial, that would make us be at this point we will remove a committee chair.
So I think I seen Commissioner Reeves, and then we'll take Commissioner Kennedy.
I just want to say real quickly, I feel a little uncomfortable voting on this because I'm not on the committee, any of the committees with Commissioner Wong, and everything I know of, I've heard. I haven't witnessed any of that, so that aside, I'm kind of laughing inside about this word rules keep coming up. When we step over the rules every single meeting since I've been here, we could talk about Robert's rules all day long and disregard them in the next breath. So this conversation about rules means absolutely nothing to me. I'm going to keep it right there for now. There's more I'll say later.
Commissioner Kennedy?
I hear you, Commissioner Reeves, on the rules issue. The situation here is a real catch-22 because the process that Commissioner Garrett Ferguson outlined absolutely needs to be outlined in the Rules Committee. However, the person who is subject to this motion of removal is the head of the Rules Committee, which is why we are in this catch-22. Okay, I just want to make that really clear for everybody. So I think what maybe on a macro level, on a bigger level, right? We're trying to figure out like what the modes of accountability are for us, right, as a group. And I think that we're trying to establish some boundaries. Some of us feel that maybe some lines have been crossed, right? If you look at our police commission rules, if you look at Ohio Ethics Commission rules, right? If you read them, then yeah, some of them absolutely have been violated. But we don't have a process yet to walk through what happens when those rules are broken, right? The governing bodies for us are, one is the mayor has the ability to remove people from the commission. The Ohio Ethics Commission has the ability to investigate the commission, right? Beyond those two entities, there's no formalized process to hold ourselves accountable, right? And that is really, I think, the foundation of the discussion tonight. And I, too, am not super, I don't feel super great reading this motion because I almost, this isn't a legal document, but if you're going to say that someone violated certain rules, I almost want to see it written as like a notice of intent to file a claim, right? On such and such a date at such and such a time, this is what happened, right? And have it in a document that we can all see and that is public facing. And that would address some of the concerns about the subjective nature, right, of some of the language in here. So I really hear what all of you have said in this discussion piece, and I appreciate those comments, and this is definitely a decision not to be taken lightly, that's for sure.
Any other further comments or concerns? Commissioner Benito?
Yes, to the chair. I appreciate the comments about process, and I, I, I think that they're fair. I think that I agree that I just want to point out that the rules that are referred to are not from Robert's rules, but are from the NACOL Code of Ethics, which we adopted as our Code of Ethics. So just a kind of quick note on that. But I think it's fair to say that we should have a different process. I think that that Commissioner Reeves and Commissioner Kennedy are absolutely correct, which is that all of us have violated the rules at one time or another. Some of us, frankly, more egregiously, and we have not done a good enough job of addressing it. There have been major incidents that have happened in meetings that have gone unaddressed, and that has been unfair to the community, unfair to the staff of the commission, and unfair to our fellow commissioners. So, and I accept responsibility for my part in that. That being said, the challenge that I think that Commissioner Kennedy brought up is that the place where we would create such a process is in the Rules Committee. And Commissioner Wong is the chair of the Rules Committee. And there have been some challenges with trying to move some of the work of that committee forward that I would like to address. But first, I just kind of wanted to generally share my perspective of why I moved to do this, which I don't take lightly. So the first thing is that Commissioner Wong is excellent at many things. She cares deeply about police reform. She dedicates significant hours to the commission, and I will say that she is one of the hardest working commissioners. She spends some of the most hours and time every day, day and night, working on the commission, reading, researching. She is meticulous and thorough, and she, perhaps most importantly, is fearless in challenging the status quo and defending the independence of the commission. Given these strengths of Commissioner Wong, it is not taken lightly that I've made the decision to bring these motions to the commission. And I also think that it's important that we all start to speak more candidly and openly about the interpersonal challenges that we are having that are completely derailing the work of the commission. This is, even if imperfect, it's one way to start doing that. But given the strengths that I laid out, the challenges that Terry has brought as chair of the committees and also as a member of the commission, also I believe pose an existential threat to the success of committees and also to the success of the commission. So when I speak of threats, the greatest of which that I want to identify are that Terry is unwilling to be moved in her opinion, accept and move on when others disagree with her, even if it is a majority of the commission or of the committee. I've brought my concerns up on this with her many times. The last time was in the last month, and when I brought up these concerns and said that her unwillingness to collaborate and compromise with the rest of the body threatens our effectiveness in enacting police reform because we are a body of 13 that have been selected specifically to offer a diverse range of opinions and perspectives. So it is unlikely that we will all 13 agree most of the time. She told me, and I will acknowledge that I'm paraphrasing, and I'm telling this from my own perspective, but that she said that she does not care if her unwillingness to be moved or compromised creates an impediment to our work, because she believes that if we don't do what she believes is right, then the commission will fall apart anyway. I believe that she believes that. This is not an attack on her desire for police reform or her desire to challenge the city and to do right by the community. But we are a body of 13 people, and we cannot have one person who is unwilling to work with other people. Terry also has a pattern of acting inappropriately and disrespectfully if someone disagrees with her. Even if you spend considerable time listening to her perspective and her concerns, she will start to attack you. I have personally experienced and also heard from other people stories of her screaming at you, screaming at people, swearing at people, and making malicious and mean-spirited accusations and attacks of others. As chair of the committees that we are talking about, she has used her position as chair to try to have greater control over the work of the commission. At times, an example that I want to give, and I want to just kind of walk through one example that it's from my own personal experience that highlights this. What I will just say is that this is not about one person's concern, but I can only speak from my own experience, and that is why I'm giving my own example, not to say that my experience is any more important than any other experience. But in July, I was, the Accountability Committee created a discipline work group, and myself and Commissioner Chura, through discussion of the committee, became the commissioners from the Accountability Committee that would be on this work group. On September 11th, while I was on vacation, I received an email from Commissioner Wong asking me politely if I would be willing to come off that work group so that she could enter the work group and get the work started. I politely responded that I wanted to stay on the work group, but that we would love to receive her feedback and her perspective to inform what we were doing. So we had a lengthy email exchange, and I just want to read you a couple quotes from the exchange that are insults, but that are written very well and politely. But she said that that she had the reason why she, and at this point she said that she was using her position as chair of the committee to remove me, which I disagreed that she had the ability to do that. But she said, I had underestimated the expertise, rigor, and human relationships we will need to for the discipline work group to succeed, insinuating that I do not have the expertise, rigor, or human relationships. She, when I continued to push back on her, she said in another email that I had tried to spare your feelings, but the reality is that many community members and experts requested to work with me on this work group. Over the past 24 hours, a number of additional people have conveyed their concern and worry that I will not be directing this work group with Jim. A lot is at stake, Chandra. For these reasons, I am recalling you from the discipline work group. At this point, I told her that it was not her decision alone to remove me from the work group, and that since we had decided as a committee to who would be on it, that I asked that we have a vote as the accountability committee. And I said several times that we needed to resolve this issue in committee. At the end of that email exchange, she, on September 15th, she canceled a committee meeting that was scheduled for September 19th, saying that because we had the outstanding record request, that it didn't make sense for us to meet. And she continued to tell other commissioners that I was being removed from the work group. I met with Commissioner Chura, and we started to plan some of the work of the work group. We sent an email to Commissioner Wong with questions and thoughts that she never responded to. Continued in person to tell me that she needed to be on that work group, and did not reschedule the committee meeting. In October, I acquiesced and let her take over the discipline work group because I cannot spend hours and hours continuing to fight it. And since we were not going to have a committee meeting, and she said that it is her role as chair to be able to establish a committee meeting, then I felt like it was out of my hands. So there is my concern with her as a chair of the committees is that she will cancel meetings. It is my interpretation of the meeting that she canceled on September 15th after I had said that I wanted to bring this issue to committee, that she then canceled a meeting that was scheduled for 4 days prior. But she has done this other times where she has canceled meetings last minute, I think in order to try to control or prevent the work moving forward. When it comes to the accountability committee, we did not meet between August 7th until last week. And I put in great personal effort in order to get that meeting to happen. On October 19th, I texted Terry to ask about an accountability meeting for October and November. On November 28th,
yeah, it's
sorry.
been 5 minutes. But I'm
Okay.
trying to give you your time. And
Can I finish really quick? I'm sorry, I've gone over. But on November 28th, I emailed Terry asking to have a committee meeting. On January 2nd, it was only scheduled after I had emailed and texted the committee myself with a date. On 9/18, for the Rules Committee, she tried to cancel the 9/21 committee meeting due to not liking the content of a drafted rule. And then on 10/27, she canceled the 11/1 Rules Committee meeting, despite having 2 rules for consideration. And then she canceled the January 3rd Rules Committee meeting on January 2nd. So when that is all to say that is my concern with how do we create a process when we have a committee chair that will cancel meetings in order to prevent the consideration of rules and the creation of processes. I apologize for going over my time.
thank you. Any questions or debate? Commissioner Wong, would you? Commissioner Wong?
Would I be able to sit on that side of the table so I can face the audience? Would that be?
I mean, I don't know. You want the microphone?
I just want to face the audience.
Come on.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think there should be, all right. Could I? All right. This is an interesting process. I have to say that I'm the accused and I'm speaking last. I do want to just give a broader statement. I thank everyone for their patience here. I want to get some background as to what happened, and I want to note that I will respond to Ms. Benito's characterizations of what happened. It is not the full context, and I think the very fact that someone can interpret an action that is in my head with intention, with no evidence, is troubling. So to the background is I was told earlier in the month that there were charges being made against me for inappropriate conduct of some sort. I asked for these charges. and I didn't get them. More than a week later, I asked for them again. And finally, I received a draft motion thanks to Co-Chair Bridgeway accusing me of all sorts of misconduct. And the misconduct is so vague that I still, sitting here today, can't exactly tell what I'm being accused of. For example, the motion accuses me of impugning the character of community members. It doesn't say who. I don't know who it's referring to. Which community members? When did I allegedly wrong them? How did I allegedly wrong them? Where did it happen? I'm accusing of doing the same thing to my fellow commissioners. Which ones? All of them? Certain ones? When? All I've been asking for all along are the details of the accusations made against me to be given to me so I can defend myself, not to be sandbagged in this meeting. This is the first time I've heard any of these specific accusations. Why weren't they included in the motion? So I can't defend myself right now because I don't know what I'm being accused of, or I'm giving something at the last minute, reading emails, cherry-picked. And I can tell you this, given that I don't know what I'm being accused of, that I certainly have never been asked for my side of the story by anybody. Well, maybe Co-Chair Ridgeway a little bit. But again, I don't know what I'm being accused of, so I can't give I'm not really sure what story I would give because I don't know what events we're talking about. And I thank you for, Ms. Benito, for mentioning some of the events. And there is a broader issue here. The old saying is what's good for the goose is good for the gander here. If you look at this motion and you take my name off of it, you can insert any one of your names on it. It is so nonspecific. It is so nonspecific. I'm speaking. Thank you so much. Okay. I mean, that is, I'm glad that you are, but, and this is the problem, is that here we are. We thought our first hearing was going to be for an officer, but it's for a colleague. I still do not understand, and I'll give you some background as to why people probably are wondering, why is this happening? Why you? Well, I have been opposing. It is the three other members of the policy committee, with the exception of Ms. Longer Farrison, that's pushing this, and I've opposed them on recent processes. I've opposed them on mediocre non-readings of policies that are rubber stamped. I do not think that the community deserves this level of lack of attention to detail. I'm sorry. We were charged with independent and thorough civilian oversight, not to be rubber stamping things. And I have to say, being accused of all these things and meetings, one of the things I did oppose was this emergency GPO motion. It's never occurred before. And guess how this motion came about? In a private meeting that I was excluded from, that Mr. Van Leer took Ms. Benito, even though I was the person that's on surveillance tech, and I thought it was a casual meeting. Come to find out, not only Commander Carney was there, but also Mark Griffin from the law department and commanders that I'd even know were there, whose names I don't even know. There's no record of this meeting. There's no notes of this meeting. Mr. Van Leer, who takes prolific notes all the time, claimed that he was too busy facilitating the meeting, to even give notes. And then Mr. Goodrich chimed in and said, even if he had notes, he doesn't have to give it to you. You know what? It's not about me. It's not about me being in the meeting. The co-chairs weren't there. I have a pretty prevailing principle. This is a community-facing commission. If anybody wants to attend a meeting that business is being done for the commission, there should be an opportunity. It doesn't matter if it's a community member, doesn't matter if it's a commissioner. And quorum rules cannot be used to close a meeting. These are the things I'm pushing back on. I don't understand what is the lack of transparency here. And frankly, I again still don't know what am I being accused of? If you have all these details of egregious acts, all these witnesses, please give me the accusations. Please give me the chance at least to defend myself, because what you're showing the officers is that they will not get fairness on this commission. I would never treat an officer this way. I would never treat a community member that way. Okay.
I don't mean to stop you, but I'm not in favor of sitting in this meeting, and I think Commissioner Wong needs more time than we have here, because I would like to vote before I leave tonight. I can't stay late. I can't. And I do think this is pushing it to put her defense, so to speak, in the 10 minutes. So if I'm not in favor of making special meetings or whatever.
Should we table
Yeah,
it and come
maybe,
back with more detailed information, and then that way we can have.
I think that would be fair.
Can we call for the vote?
I would like to call for the vote, because this is a motion that's longstanding. If they want
Okay.
to begin investigation, go ahead.
So it seems like we're ready to call for the vote for this motion.
So will we move on with the other motions and everything else, or after we do this vote, we would just be ending the meeting? Because there still is other.
It is my hope
commission
that
business.
we move forward with elections as well as the last two. I personally, I'm not gonna lie, I would like to table this and come back, honestly, to these two motions. I would like to do the election of co-chairs as well as the last motion. That's my hope.
So we got 3 minutes.
To the
So,
chairs, we still have
for
to,
clarity, are we going to extend? Are we going to vote? What are we going to do?
there's a
I
motion, so
would-
we still have to vote.
Yeah, I would like to, I would like to vote on it, because I would like to, if you have real issues, I'm a little concerned that, if you want to vote for a motion like this, I'm very, very concerned for, take me out of it.
Of the commission, it sounds like the commission would like to vote on the motion. Yep. So,
Unless there's a subsequent, if there's a motion to amend it or to table it, there can be another motion, but.
right, we
Yeah.
can entertain.
To the chairs, I
gotta hurry.
would like to make a motion
Or friendly
to a friendly amendment to table this. We have to be careful of the precedents that we set. I think that while I think we feel strongly about the motion, whatever side you're on, but one of the things that we always hear from Ms. Bickerstaff is about giving people due process. Now, what I will say is that to commit to the chairs, that we've all been a part of these meetings. We've all watched them online. And, other commissioners, we see the emails. So I do believe that I know what I'm going to do on this motion, but I agree with Rosie that everyone deserves due process. And I just want us to make sure that if we are going to use these authority to, I want us to make sure that we have a proper process. So I'm going to make a friendly amendment to table this, not to get out of it, but so that we do it right.
Is there a second to the friendly amendment? Is there a second to the friendly amendment?
I second.
Okay. I think everybody knows their point, so we're gonna go to the vote. Or do you wanted a question?
I
Is
just
it?
had a comment. Okay. So I understand, because Mr. Reeves, you cannot stay. My son is not here with me. I need to go pick him up. So I also am on a time crunch. However, I think from the last 15, 20 minutes, I don't know how anybody else feels, but I think that a lot of what just taken place has been very unprofessional of us as a commissioner to ambush another commissioner in this way. I think for private emails to be read that are one-sided is not appropriate. I think that to Commissioner Wong's point, enough information hasn't even been given that that she can properly even defend herself. I think some of those instances that we have read, a lot of this looks like it's come down to there's a lack of standardization in process procedures and rules. Because to be very transparent, I've been on committees and I've had the committee chairs remove me from work groups because maybe I didn't have the time anymore, or maybe they just felt I wasn't a good fit for that anymore. And at that point in time, what I did was I didn't go and cry and say, oh my God, they should be removed. I just acquiesced to the leadership because they are the committee chair, even if I disagreed that I couldn't be on that work group. I think the fact that all of these things that are brought up, none of this has been brought to HR, none of this has been brought to a lawyer, there is no paper trail, a lot of this is hearsay. I think that this is extremely disrespectful to the commissioners, to the community, and I think that right now, there is no way, shape, and form that any of us should be voting hearing any of this because this is completely inappropriate, and it does set up a negative precedent and make it seem like we will be biased not only towards community members or to police officers, but anyone who comes in our way. And I think this is not how we should be conducting ourselves. And so something needs to happen. And
Okay.
maybe we can.
So far it's the table, and then it was second. Let's take a vote. Commissioner Adams,
Aye.
Commissioner Benito,
Aye.
Commissioner Shura,
Aye.
Commissioner Donaldson,
Aye.
Commissioner Early, Commissioner Garrett Ferguson,
Aye.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves,
Aye.
Co-Chair Ridgway,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer,
Aye.
Commissioner Co-Chair Aye, Commissioner Wong,
Abstain?
Commissioner Zayed.
Aye.
Motion passes with 12 to table it. Hopefully, I guess,
The next one too, I guess.
yep, more than likely the next one. The next item of business is election of co-chairs. So hopefully, so, nope, I was gonna ask that. Can I entertain a motion to extend the meeting?
Before a motion goes to the table, I just want to make sure we understand the process, because we may have to take 4 or 5 ballots in order to elect the chairs.
Hopefully not.
You know, in terms of the
We got
most
3.
recent rules about this. So, I mean, we do have the option of voting to extend the meeting, go ahead and move toward the election of the co-chairs, or this commission can, in fact, agree to table the co-chair meeting, and we do a special meeting to elect. So it's your call. I hear some people saying they can't stay. I believe every commissioner needs to vote for these chairs. So right now, it's 8:30. What we have to do first is
What?
extend the meeting.
I would like to put a motion on the floor to extend the meeting just for the election of the co-chairs. And we could table the rest of this.
And I'll second that.
Okay, it's been properly moved in second to have the election of the co-chairs. Any question or debate? Hence none, let's take a vote. Commissioner Adams,
Aye.
Commissioner Benito,
Aye.
Commissioner Shura,
Aye.
Commissioner Donaldson,
Aye.
Commissioner Early, Commissioner Garrett Ferguson,
Aye.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Aye.
Commissioner Reeves,
Aye.
Co-Chair Ridgway,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Leer,
Aye.
Co-Chair Rodriguez, aye. Commissioner Wong,
Aye.
Commissioner Zayed.
Aye.
It's been, motion carried.
So as we move toward the election of the co-chairs, I would like to refer to this for all of us to keep this in mind. We're looking at 1.4.4 under leadership, the City of Cleveland Charter 1.115-5 mandates the selection of a chair. The commission, through its rules, would utilize a co-chair system to meet this requirement. It will select its own co-chairs from among the members. The process will be as follows. Each co-chair will be elected in a separate ballot process. The process will be a written ballot that identifies the commissioner casting the vote and the name of a single candidate of choice. The top candidate will be considered the winner, provided they reach a simple majority of the votes cast. If a candidate does not reach a majority, there will be a runoff of the top 2 candidates. The process will be repeated for the election of the second co-chair. And our executive director has the ballots. Now, we do need to ask, because the final rules, we have not reached that threshold for the most recent rules, we do need to ask whether there are other nominations to be added to the 3 that are already on the table. Commissioner Pete Van Leer, Commissioner John Adams, and Commissioner Sharina. Zayed. I'm tired, I'm sorry. But, so those 3 are the candidates we will be voting on, and we have to decide whether, if there are any other nominations coming from the floor at this time. Okay, we can move.
Okay. The candidates are supposed to give speeches?
Oh, yes.
Okay, at this time, would the candidates like to give speeches? Okay, we can do that. I mean, we did it last, just, okay. It seems like we know who we voting for? Okay. Okay, seems like everybody knows their vote. Can we please have the ballots?
All right, take one ballot, pass it down, it's very simple. Name you're voting for and your name. So, one commissioner, one vote on each ballot.
So we both get 2 ballots?
We do the first round until someone achieves a majority. Then they're the first co-chair, then we do the second round with the remaining candidates for the second co-chair. Take one and pass it around.
Let's do it like this.
And I will count the
Tisha.
votes, and then Martin, our new attorney, will verify the votes.
I don't know, I was trying to do 2 things. Don't.
We're taking one. We're taking one?
Mm-hmm,
Just
take one.
Each round we'll pass out new ballots, so just take one. You need more?
We need 2.
All right.
Oh, the TV show.
Who will be the first name? Okay, we have the results of the first ballot. Congratulations, Commissioner John Adams. You received 7 votes in the first round. Commissioner Zayed, 6 votes. Van Leer, no votes in the first round. The next round is the remaining candidates, Zayed and Van Leer.
Okay. Am I good here? All right. So the vote again, we have a winner. The second co-chair is Commissioner Zayed. So congratulations to our new co-chairs. It was 9-4 votes. 9 Zayed, 4 Van Leer. So that concludes our elections.
So, I want to make a closing statement to those of you on this commission. We have gone through a pretty turbulent year, and we are hoping that a foundation has been laid to allow us to move forward. As the outgoing chair, I said I was going to dance a jig tonight when the new people were elected, but I want to just say congratulations to the new co-chairs, and I want to say that we have to, all these agenda items that are moving forward must now be under the consideration of the new co-chairs. Okay, and right now, that next meeting occurs on the 28th, is that what it is? 28th of February.
Congratulations. I look forward to helping you transition in your success and as well as the direction of the commission under your leadership.
And can I say one thing? Happy birthday, Terry Wong.
Oh, happy birthday! Oh, and just real quick, I think we should at least give a quick applause to the outgoing chairs because this was no easy feat, so thank you both. You handled all of it well.
Thank you.
Enjoy your time.
Meeting is adjourned at 8:46 p.m. Thank you.
I forgot it was your birthday.